Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to get an opportunity to try a new line from L'Oreal. It's not brand new, it's been out for a while, and every time I see it, I'm like, I wonder. It's the Age Perfect. There we go, the Age Perfect. And I have a lot of stuff to try today. I have both their foundation, their powder, their concealer, the blush, a lipstick. And what was interesting to me was that they even put out a couple of pencil products. One is a liner and one is a brow product. But I wanted to try this today, and I wanted to see what sort of coverage it gave, how it wears. There are 30 shades of the Radiant Serum Foundation. What's interesting is that this has SPF 50. Now, I never think that an extra layer of SPF is a bad thing, but what I would hate for you to think is that the SPF in this is going to be enough to give you that 50 coverage all day. Always wear a dedicated sunscreen, and if and when you can, reapply throughout the day. I know it's hard over makeup. You can do it. It doesn't always come out perfect, but there's that. So this, I like that this isn't just like a flat, like a lot of my squeeze tubes end up looking like this. And I like that this has kind of like that pointed dropper. That was unexpected and kind of cool. All right, so I have the shade 10 Ivory. This foundation claims to not settle into lines. So it's supposed to be weightless, seamless, not settle into lines, but also give light to medium coverage. It doesn't say it's going to be like super high coverage, which I think is good. I feel like the older I get, the less my skin handles high coverage foundations really well. And I think that it comes down to texture. My skin definitely has more visible texture now that I'm 45 than it did when I was 25. It is giving some coverage, but I don't feel like it's a ton of coverage. But it is kind of canceling out some of my redness. It doesn't completely cover this hyperpigmentation spot here, but it does diminish it a little bit. I feel like this foundation would be great for somebody who has drier skin, normal to dry skin. I feel like this may not be what you're looking for if you have oily skin, just because it already looks rather glowy. Now, we haven't set it down. I still have to use their powder foundation over the top to set this, but I feel like if you are somebody who loves a glowy foundation, this is giving me, I would say, light to medium coverage. Cat hairs, always cat hairs. And I do feel like it gives me kind of like that nice glow. So where I tend to have product settle is between the lines on my forehead, and then right in here, like a little bit in through here, and right where I have this little crease right here when I smile. I feel like it settles in there, and it doesn't look as lovely as it did at the start of the day. So there are 30 shades of this foundation. This is the lightest shade, shade number 10. I feel like it's, if you look from here to here, it's just a hair darker. This does tend to run, this lightest foundation does tend to run just a little bit warm. It's not neutral, it's definitely more yellow, warm toned. So if you are a fair but have that pink undertone, this may not be a good match for you. I already feel like we have a discrepancy between here and here. So this is also the lightest concealer they had. This is in shade 200 Ivory. There are only 16 shades of the concealer. The doe foot is kind of like a flat paddle, but it does have the fuzz on it that is nice. I'm trying really hard not to over apply concealer. Normally I would use a color corrector under my eyes, but I want to see what this does on its own. So I'm going to put a couple of dots here, a dot right here on the outside of my eye, some corners of my nose. I have some spots here, and I'm going to see if I can conceal my hyperpigmentation spots with this concealer. I've got a couple of these around the face that I'm always trying to pretend aren't there. I feel like as this dries, it does get just a hair darker. I'm getting some fairly decent coverage here for my hyperpigmentation spots. The claims for this is it's supposed to help hide imperfections and dark circles and not settle into your lines. It's another one of those serum-based products, so it's supposed to illuminate and hydrate. I feel like you can still see my dark circles fairly well. This feels more like a lighter weight, more skin weight. Is that a bad way to describe it? It feels and it looks a little bit more skin-like, but it doesn't give like complete coverage. The one thing that I've noticed is the older I get, the thinner my skin gets here under my eyes, and the more those dark circles just really shine through. And I know that you have to walk the line when you're dealing with mature skin of coverage, but not too much, or it looks terrible. You want it a little bit radiant, but not so radiant that it slips and slides. So we're gonna see how this wears throughout the day. This is a lot more radiant overall. Do you see the glow on my skin here? I see it on my chin, I see it under my eyes, and I feel like that's a really lovely look, but I do wanna mattify it just a bit. I got number 305. Apparently there is a shade lighter. There's a 300, which is Ivory. This was the lightest one they had in store. So cross your fingers with me. But the claim for this is that it's supposed to have a satin finish. It's supposed to be a creamy powder foundation, and it's supposed to help blur the look of imperfections, dark circles, add an extra layer of coverage, but not be too heavy and not look cakey. I like the idea that it's a creamy foundation, and I think a lot of that comes down to what does it feel like. It feels like a traditional powder. I'm worried this is going to be too dark for me, but it's what we have. So I'm just going to dip into here with a brush. I find that if I use, it does have, here's, in case you're curious, a mirror and a sponge on the other side, that when I use a product like that to apply, I just end up with more than I normally want. So I'm going to put some on a brush. You know what's interesting? I normally tap out my under eye before I set anything with powder. I don't see any in my crinkles. It doesn't settle into fine lines. All my other concealers, from the time I'm done doing it and get my powder out, it's settled in places it normally settles into. And here I'm like, I can set this. I don't need to worry. That's impressive. I feel like this is definitely darker than I want it to be, and it is kind of adding on a layer of added depth to the skin that I didn't want. Also going to be here forever if I use that tiny brush. I like that for under the eyes, but more substantial for the rest of my face. The blush that comes in this line is their Radiant Satin Blush. I have the shade 410 Rosewood. But the idea behind this blush is that it's satin, it has camellia oil in it. It's supposed to give a soft, radiant look without being dry or cakey. I feel like since there are only 6 shades of this blush, it looks like there might be 2 that might work for deeper skin tones, but I feel like the majority of these are for light to medium skin tones. That's just my opinion after looking at them. I feel like I could probably wear 3/4 of the blushes in this line, but this was the one that appealed to me the most. Well, there were a couple of peachy ones, and I was like, you have way too many peachy blushes, so I thought I'd go for one that was more rose in tone. It does have a nice slight satiny sheen to it. It's not too much, and it does feel like it gives a bit of a luminosity to the cheeks. Don't know if you can see it, but I feel like right here I'm getting almost like if I had a highlight on. Part of me wonders if I should put a highlight on this or not today. Let's just leave it and see how luminous it looks at the end of the day. I'm at the point now where it's time to do my brows and try some eyeliner. It's funny, this brow pencil says it softly defines, and I don't know if you can see, this is what the brow looked like before. That is not a soft definition. That's like on the verge of a Sharpie brow to me. I would not want anything that intense. I have the shade Deep Brown. It comes with a spoolie on one side and a pencil that you can sharpen on the other. It feels just, I'm using it here on the back of my hand, it feels just a hair waxy, not too much, but say a prayer for me, this might be too much. This is a much softer pencil than I'm used to, I'll tell you that. It feels more like parts of it are getting kind of stuck here in my brow. It feels more like a pomade type pencil. I prefer something just a hair stiffer. It feels like it's sticking to my skin fairly well though, and that it brushes out all right. My point has gone really fast, so I'm gonna give it a quick little sharpen and I'm gonna hit the other brow. But that's a pretty big difference. Softer pencils usually work okay on this side, but look really telltale on this side. What I'm trying not to do is to have my brows look like what the packaging had, which was an extremely harshly blocked brow. It looks a little muddled. It looks like it's not as precise as I would like it, but I've got some color where I didn't before. This is the Satin Glide eyeliner. I have the shade Brown. I think this only comes in 3 or 4 shades. The idea behind this is that it doesn't tug, that it glides, and then it also is waterproof. Now, it doesn't say that it's smudge proof, it says it's smudge resistant. And I think that we want something that's not gonna tug or pull on our eyes as we apply it. I'm gonna use this both in the waterline and on the upper lash line, and we're gonna see how this does. My goal always is to have something that I can have stay in my waterline without transferring from my upper to my lower waterline, and that I don't end up with little sad dark tears crying here or in the inner corner. I have a very watery left eye, so that's always my struggle. This isn't really laying down a lot of color in my waterline. I'm gonna grab a Q-tip and I'm gonna like run it along the inner lash line just to dry it off to see if that helps in application. I feel like it does. I feel like I have more color transferring to my upper waterline right now. I try usually not to line my upper lash line because I have a lot less lid space. Oh, I already see that we've got transfer from the upper waterline to the lower waterline. Well, now I'm starting to wondering about that claim about it being smudge resistant. This is just blinking, but of course we have 2 surfaces that are touching. We'll see how it wears today. There are 2 types of lipsticks in this collection. The one that I have is the Luminous Hydrating Nourishing Serum lipstick, and it has that core in the middle that's supposed to have an extra layer of hydration. So I'm not going to add a lip liner on today. This, by the way, is in the shade Bright Mocha. I have so many reds and I have so many bright lipsticks. I thought it was time to try a nude, and I thought that this nude, out of all of them in this formula of lipstick, looked like it might suit the most skin tones. It also feels like it has just the slightest sheen to it, not like a shiny, glittery, but a soft, like soft satin lips. I feel like I have a similar soft satin shine going on with this. It feels really nice on the lips. So the claim for this lipstick is that it's supposed to hydrate for 9 hours and not feather outside of your lip line. So I'm really curious to see if this travels. It feels really nice, soft, hydrating, and very buttery. So right now it's 10:38. I finally have my full face on. I don't expect this lipstick to last for 9 hours. It claims to have 9 hours worth of hydration, but I'm gonna treat it like any other hydrating, moisturizing lipstick. They don't last as long as a matte lipstick, so throughout the day, if I feel it needs to be touched up, I will. I am not going to do anything else to the face. I want to see how the liner wears. I want to see how the brows hold up. Normally I would set these brows with a clear brow gel, but I don't want to do that today. I want to see what happens. And not having any, what's interesting is I don't have any highlight on, but I do feel like I have a nice, pretty, soft, subtle sheen on my cheeks, and it looks like a really minimal highlight. I like that, and I feel like if you want to glow without having too much, this might be nice, but I want to see how all of this wears. I will check back with you at the end of the day. It's 7:08. It's the end of the day. It's been a solid 8 hours and maybe 20 minutes, maybe almost 8.5 hours since I got this face on, and I feel like it's overall it's holding up okay. As you can see, I do have some shine coming in pretty strong right around here. This is a hydrating serum foundation, and even though I did really mattify it with this, all of my the only place that I really have combo skin is right in through here. That's where all of my oils really come out. I do feel just slightly dewy and tacky on my chin and my forehead, but the rest of my skin doesn't. But right through here, ooh, we got an oil slick going on. Here's another thing to notice. You can see I've been crying like little black panda tears. And as I look at this up close, it's the eyeliner that I put in my waterline, where I have some darkness right here, some darkness right here. It's enough. There is still some left in my, well, not over here. Over here, oh no, I lie. All the liner that was in my waterline is gone. But I will tell you, it handled itself really well here. And what I did is I used the liner and I took it from like halfway all the way out to the edge, not beyond, no wing. That's not the type of eyeshadow look my eyes, my really watery eyes can handle. Overall, I still feel like I have blush on. And I do feel like there is just a slight luminous flush. I wonder if I'd had a slightly deeper tone, if it would be a little bit more pronounced. Here's the other thing that I'm looking at right now. My under eye, it looks a little dry. And I wonder if it's from this. I don't really think it's this. I feel like this would probably play really well if I were to use my favorite color corrector. I use a Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish, and then a really beautiful under eye setting powder. One of my favorite ones is the Veil powder or the Ambient Lighting powder. I love Hourglass powders for under my eyes. I think they're probably some of the best out there, and I feel like this was a little heavier than I wanted it to be under my eyes. It doesn't look as dry right now as I remember it looking at the beginning of the day. Here's something else I wanted to do. I wanted to see if just using this little guy here, picking up a little bit of this, not a lot, just a little bit, and just kind of pressing it into where I have, ooh, look at that. I feel like it really makes a difference. So I feel like you can touch this up. I don't feel like I'm missing foundation, maybe a little bit here on my chin and on the tip of my nose, but it's a really light foundation, and I feel like all of that extra glow I had going on here is now completely gone. The one thing I'll tell you is that there is a lot of pigmentation in this powder, more than I expected there to be. I feel like my chin got a little bare throughout the day, and I feel like I can get a little bit of coverage with this. I really like this lipstick. I feel like it feels nice. It's comfortable. It's a really pretty color. I'm surprised at how well this held up. It's 106 degrees today, and I was out in that weather. I didn't linger in the heat, but I will tell you this, I baked a pie today. I made burgers and macaroni salad, so I was literally standing over the stovetop in the oven, and as I was pouring out like the boiled macaroni, I got like that full steam facial that you get every time you dump pasta out into a colander in the sink. I feel like this held up really well. It did also touch up really well with just a little bit of the powder over the shiny parts. So if you don't like that really glowy look, it's really easy to take that down. I don't really feel like my face looks any cakier than it did to begin with. I will tell you, even though I don't really feel like this foundation has settled into any lines, that's been great. I do feel like I can see some of my pore texture around here more than some other foundations. I think it wore really well throughout the day. I'm gonna quit looking in the mirror. I'm pretty impressed. I know I will continue to use the lipstick. I know I will continue to use this duo. I know I'm gonna continue using the blush. Now, the ones that I don't wear a lot of eye pencils places other than my waterline. It's on the floor now. So if I ever decide to wear it like on my lash line, I probably would reach for that because I feel like it wore well. This was probably the most disappointing thing that I tried today because I feel like it just kind of goes away into nothing when you're blending it. This, I wish I had the right shade because I feel like if I had the right shade, I might have liked it better. I'll have to continue trying. I'm definitely going to get back to you. Remember, the first impression is just that, but I liked being able to sit down and to grab a mirror and to look up close and to see what is working and what isn't. And it was nice also to show you that it was fairly easy to touch up and to get good results after 8 hours. So if you're willing to carry this in your purse and the lipstick, I think you could very safely go a full day wearing this, even in warm weather. Now, I don't spend a lot of time outside in the heat, and I didn't wear this with a mask today. I do feel like if I were to have worn this with a mask, I do feel like a lot of what's on my nose and chin and lips, of course lips would have worn off, but I feel like I get most of the friction here and then sometimes like right in here. And I feel like I probably, because it is very lightweight serum formula, I probably would have, you know, some patchiness going on in here, but I don't feel like it's that hard to fix. Now, once we're not wearing masks all the time, you might really love these products just for the skin-like look that they give your skin. I would love to know if you've tried any of these products, if you have a favorite shade, if you have, you know, I tried this one didn't work for me, or this one is my favorite in the shade. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know if there are other drugstore brands and lines that are made for mature skin. I know that there's a couple from CoverGirl, but this was kind of the newest and the most interesting to me. If there are other ones you're interested in me trying, I definitely want to find beautiful makeup at every price point for the age that I'm at now, and to know that as I continue to age, there will still be things available for me, because even though there are some really great things at the drugstore, you know, in a decade when I'm 55, I'm not sure that I'm still going to want to be wearing, you know, bright green eyeshadow. Who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I want to find stuff that's going to make me feel my most confident and feel my most beautiful, whatever age I'm at. That's why I really appreciate the fact that L'Oreal put out this Age Perfect line. Let me know if you've tried it. Let me know if you have any favorites or any recommendations of other drugstore products that work well for those of us who aren't 22. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribed. I'll see you again soon. Bye.